Hello and welcome to a special episode of An Eye on SG Diplomacy. In this episode, we will interview Ms. Daniela Senk, an advisor at the European Parliament at Strasbourg. Hello, Ms. Daniela Senk, and also thank you so much for doing this interview in the Parliament.
With great pleasure.
So this interview, like the previous one, will be in 3 parts.
Okay.
The first one will be your career path.
Okay.
The second one is your previous jobs and also, of course, your current job. And the last one will be general questions. For example, your average day.
Okay.
Okay. So, first of all, how are you doing today?
Yes, I'm very fine. Thank you, Polit, and all the finer to meet such a nice young gentleman who's interested in European affairs. That is always very good.
Thank you. So to begin with our first question, what was your career path before joining the European Parliament or the European Union?
Well, there I have to say I joined it very early in my career. I worked, I studied. I'm in Translator from my education, so I studied languages. And so I came naturally to Brussels, and so directly after my studies, I started to work in a European, what would you call it, in a European party organization. And from this European party organization, then my career went further to the European Parliament.
Great. So is there one specific thing that made you want to join the EU?
Yes, yes, I can say that. I'm very interested in different cultures because I'm German, but my mother is Italian. So already that for me, working in different languages has come naturally during my life. And also I have to say, I'm a very political person. So working for the European Parliament satisfies a lot my need to follow closely political events at European level.
So your current job, would you say that you help the EU, like that you help really the EU behind the scenes or in front of the scenes?
Well, I would say being not a politician or everybody who works for politician helps behind the scenes, I would say. And my current job, so beforehand I worked also in the parliament in a committee, for instance, in a parliamentary committee as an advisor, and there you do a lot of political works together with members in different groups, so you help members shape politics. So this is very straightforward and core business of the parliament. The job here in Strasbourg is a bit less core business, but it is more democracy building because we are trying to have contact with the civil society. We're putting the civil society in contact with members and with contents of the European Union. So I think I'm helping behind the scenes and I help citizens better understand what we are doing.
So now we're just going to head into the second part of the questions, which is your
Okay.
previous jobs and, of course, your current job.
Okay.
So what have been the different jobs you've had in the European Union?
So the different jobs I worked, I mainly worked in the European Parliament. So I started, if you so want, my real career, I started in the Parliament. And I worked at many levels. I worked, for instance, in committees. So which means when you do committee work as an advisor, you are shaping or you are helping members shape positions of the European Parliament on European dossiers. But I also worked in a European political group, which means in this group I was also advisor. I was advisor to members of my political group, so it was even more political. the work, and I was also for a time in the cabinet of a president of the European Parliament. So I have seen many levels of work, and now I'm working in the administration here in Strasbourg.
So it looks like you had many jobs.
Yes?
Uh, do you think there's one job where you had the most responsibilities in?
That's a good question, but I would say they are all, in the end, you have the same responsibility in all jobs. And I would say the European Parliament is great. So if you are one day interested, to join the European Parliament, because you can indeed do a lot of different things and still stay in the Parliament and see how policy is made at different levels.
I would love to work in the parliament. So, do you help also in organizing sessions?
No, not in my current job. I did do that before, actually, when I worked, when I worked in the cabinet of a president, we supervised how the services prepared the sessions, because it's very important that nothing goes wrong. When I was working in a committee, of course, we prepared the sessions, because the committees prepare the votes, and that is the most important and the most sensitive part of each parliamentary session is the votes and how do members vote on the policies. But nowadays I don't help the sessions. I'm working in Strasbourg, and we are mainly active outside session, and we are trying to use our premises for the civil society outside session.
Okay, so for example, do you use, for I don't know, like social media to connect the parliament and the citizens?
Yes, that we use. Like when we have events in the European Parliament, then we also communicate on them with social media. So in my current job, we do that. But of course, the Parliament has also a Directorate General for Communication, and they have their own website, and they really post proactively.
Great. So I saw in your bio
Oh, okay.
that you worked in communication
Yes.
for a political party in the parliament.
Yes, I did.
So, for example, it seems very extremely interesting. But can you tell us how it works?
What shall I say? Well, the most important thing is that the citizens understand the difference of the European Parliament. The difference of the European parties,
Yeah.
and why they should vote for one party rather than for the other. So, if you work in a political party or in the group of the European Parliament, you have to make sure that people understand what are you standing for. So, there are European policies, but you have to make sure to tell the people, so we want to see the policy in this way, and the other ones want to see it in that way, and we think this way is better, and you should think that too, so you should vote for us. So this is basically what we try to communicate.
Great. So now we're going to head into the last part of the question, part
Yes.
3, which is general questions.
Okay.
So first of all, with your job, do you believe that you help the EU?
As I would say, in this job I now have as head of unit of conferences, I help the EU to be understood better by the citizens. So I would say I help a little bit, or I try to help the citizens to get a link to the European Union, and I tried to help the EU to be better understood by the citizens.
So this is a question I've asked before also. Do you think connecting, for example, the European Union Parliament and the citizens is a crucial thing?
Absolutely crucial, because the parliament is elected, or members of the parliament are elected by citizens. If nobody votes for members, then there is no reason to have a parliament. And you have to connect them, because citizens don't always understand, and this is not their fault. So they don't always understand what we do. So you have to make sure that everybody understands what is at stake, and that they vote and make sure that their point of view is taken up then in policy making, and this is why it's crucial.
Great. So this is a bit of a complicated question, which may not even have an answer. Do you think you have an average day?
Yes, I have an average day. I didn't have an average day when I was working in Brussels as a policy advisor, because there you never have an average day. There's always kind of troubleshooting and in communication as well, as you might know already at your tender age. But here in Strasbourg, my field of work is clearer and simpler and more structured. So I would say my average day is my average day, and I do my files, I do my mails, I talk with my colleagues, and I try to make sure everything works.
So, I guess you have many colleagues, very diverse. So, is there a need for many languages?
Yes, absolutely. So all colleagues in Parliament, they speak at least 2 to 3 languages.
That's a lot.
And many colleagues even speak 4. So, and yes, it's a richness, and it's very unique in the world. Our parliament is the biggest parliament in the world. I mean, of course, the Chinese parliament would be bigger, but our parliament has for sure the most languages as working languages.
24, right?
Yes, we have 24 working languages, and the members, they can work at each level of the policy making, in committee, in their groups, in their political groups, but also in plenary. They work in their own mother tongue. So all documents, all meetings, they are in 24 languages in principle. It's expensive, and there are a lot of colleagues dealing with languages in the European Parliament, interpreters, translators, but it's worth the while, because as a citizen you can also follow all this in your home country language.
Just for example, like in the main room for the parliament,
Yes.
when there's debate, are there translators?
Yes, the
Oh.
interpreters, we call it, and it's the hemicycle of the parliament. You have 24 language booths, and actually it is there that all members speak their native language, because you can, if you want, Hippolyte, and if you are curious, you can follow a plenary debate online if you want. You can even follow it here in the house. This body is transparent. They want citizens to follow it, but you can also follow it online, and you can follow it in your mother tongue. Which
Great.
for you, I don't know, is it French or English?
Actually both. Yeah, I speak both fluently.
Yes, I can see.
Thank you. So, for our last question for today, if there is one thing you would like to say to EU citizens, what would that be?
That would be go to vote. Make sure that you know what happens in the European Parliament, and you can contact your member, because each constituency has their members, and you can see who your member is and go to vote.
Great. So,
Okay.
thanks a lot again for your time,
Pleasure.
and also accepting this interview and letting me go into Parliament.
It's my pleasure, Hippolyte. Thank you very much.
So goodbye, and I hope maybe one day to see you again. I
Yes.
don't know. Okay.
The same.